Welcome to Wrentham, Alberta. And today we're going to have a little bit of fun. We are going to go do a tour of a grain elevator. Not just any grain elevator, but this specific grain elevator, the 1925 Ogilvie Flour Mills grain elevator here in Wrentham. So this should be a lot of fun. It's really great. It's a great example of a 1920s wooden cribbed grain elevator that still exists, still pretty intact, still really good shape, relatively speaking, for being almost 100 years old. And at the end, I'll tell you how you can help preserve and maintain it for generations to come. So let's go check this out. So as you can see, the elevator and the surrounding grounds are marked as private property, no trespassing, owned by the society. But that's okay, because we have special access known as a key. So one of the first priorities for the society, as you can see on this raised part of the driveway, there's a pretty significant dip on the roof there. That needs to be reinforced. The driveway is also starting to pull away from the main elevator itself, which will need to be reattached. So there's a lot of work involved in trying to keep this one standing. A little closer look at that collapsing roof. Now, I have heard that this door is quite sticky, so it may be not the easiest to open, but let's see if we can. Oh yeah, that was not bad at all. So we get to check out the office. Matchbook, a few other bits and pieces. Here we are using the phone flashlight to try and give a view of the engine room. Pretty dark place. All the walls clad in tin. Fire prevention measure. Of course, back in the day, the elevator offices, or the elevator agent's office, would have been the only place you would have been allowed to smoke. Alright, crossing the driveway here. Or I shouldn't say the driveway, crossing the walkway. Sturdier than it looks. And step inside the driveway. It was it must be more than a couple years ago now that we came in and did a cleanup effort in here. Spent the day shoveling grain dust and pigeon crap out. This was the original door to the driveway. Since been replaced with something that's not exactly period correct, but is a little more secure. We haven't had a lot of issues lately, knock elevator wood, but for a period of time there was a lot of issues with break-ins and vandalism here. So hopefully the local RCMP have put enough of a scare into the locals that were doing that to keep the elevator secure. And as promised, here's a look from the inside at where that driveway roof is really starting to sag. Yeah, scale still moves. And, This is the man lift. This is another project for us. The elevator has twisted at some point, and the man lift is no longer square, so it only will go up about 15 or 20 feet before it basically gets stuck. And ask me how I know. It's because I got about 15 or 20 feet up there and got stuck. I was really concerned I was going to have to step off the man lift onto the ladder and climb down, a nearly 100-year-old ladder. Fortunately, it didn't come to that. And by kind of jumping up and down, I was able to get the man lift to move and come back to terra firma. Look at the many different levers which control the gates that access the various bins up in the main body of the elevator. It's quite amazing how when the elevator was built in 1925 and even in the newer years after that, it was all built with wood. This hopper here is where the grain would come down. After being pulled with these levers, the grain would come down and then is weighed on the second scale here before again being elevated back up and then shot out into waiting rail cars. This here is the bin selector wheel. By rotating this, and which moves the cables that would operate the distributor up at the top of the elevator to select which bin grain would get loaded into when it was dumped from the trucks. And here's the board that shows the different bins and things. The elevator agents kept track of all of this manually. Of course, back in the 20s, they weren't using computers to track what was going in where and how much. And over here's paper version of the bin layout showing the multiple different bin locations. And this grate here in the floor of the driveway, of course, is where the trucks would pull in and then lift their hoists and dump the boxes, and the grain would fall into the pit below us where it would then get elevated up through the elevator leg. So the leg would elevate the crops using a conveyor belt and a series of buckets, just like this one here. I don't know if this came out of this elevator at one point or was salvaged from another elevator, but you kind of see how many buckets they had to use and the length of the belt to get things to the top of the elevator. The elevator here, the leg still actually has the belt and buckets intact. And yeah, I don't want to know what I just put my hand in there, but still intact. Lots of openings in the roof yet. That's another project that needs to be dealt with at some point. As with any old building, your two biggest enemies are fire and water. And at least we can control what happens with the water if we can get the roof repaired at some point. So that's really great. I haven't had the chance to actually make it down this far to come visit the elevator for actually several years now. So it's good to see she's still standing and hasn't deteriorated much really in that time. In fact, the work done by a lot of the members of the society to keep the area clean and maintained and secured, it actually means it's in better shape now than the last time I saw it. So she may not look like much, but she's ours and we're proud of her. See you later, elevator. Nice look here from the track side. Up at the top. Siding is in better condition on this side. And of course, as you can see here, the railway siding that used to stand here where they would load the cars has been removed. And out in that sunny area there, you kind of see where it made the curve and joined up with the train tracks. So this rail line here, I believe, was originally owned by the Canadian Pacific. They sold it to a short line railway known as 40 Mile Rail that primarily runs it out of the town of Foremost, mainly for hauling oil tankers now. So if you're interested in helping to preserve and eventually restore the 1925 grain elevator here in Wrentham, Alberta, there's two different ways you can really assist. Obviously, the Society is always looking for new memberships. If you search Facebook for the Ogilvie Wooden Grain Elevator Society, you'll find our Facebook page with links there for how to sign up for a membership. Membership fees go directly into the support of the grain elevator. If you don't want to become a member of the Society, but you still would like to help us out, you can always go to canadacares.org and search for OWGES, again, Ogilvie Wooden Grain Elevator Society. There you can set up either a one-time donation or a recurring donation. Either one would be appreciated. OWGES is a registered charity and a registered organization, so you can get tax receipts from the Canada Revenue Agency. So you're not only donating to help a good cause, but you're helping your income tax situation here in Canada. So like I said, there's a number of ways to help. Members are always welcome. We do have an annual general meeting that usually takes place in October down in Lethbridge for the Society to get together and talk about the plans for the coming year. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.